welcome to today's module. So, in today's lecture, we'll be talking about how you work with files. So how to read and write data, how to handle errors, how to create and use classes. So just the fundamental aspect of these, just for your understanding. So let's look at a code that could help us create a new file and also write to it. So with open my data.txt, w as file, file.write. Hello, this is my first file. Also write, I can write multiple lines. Print file created successfully. So if you run this, base Python, it's connecting, file created successfully. If you go to your file, you'd see this. Hello, this is my first file. I can write multiple lines. And the name is my data.txt. Right? Now, that is a cool way to create files in Python. Let's try and read file. So let's read the file we just created. We have with open my data.txt, then R as file. So R means read. Content is equal to file.read. Print file content. So this will print what we have in the file we just created. So this is an easy way to access your text files. So if you're working with CSV file, that you would need to import CSV. So this is a package. So you can create a CSV file, and with open people.csv, w is write, new line is this, that is space as file. So writer is got csv.writer of this file, then write rows data. So this would be the content of your file. So once you do that, your CSV file will be created and you will see the file here. It's a CSV file. So let's move on. Handling errors. That is what we'll be looking at next. So there are times that you'd run some codes and some aspects might be error prone. So you can have exceptions for that. You can undo those errors. So now, using this example as a case study, we have number is an input field that would be an integer. Now I want to divide divide 10 by whatever number the user inputs, then print our result. But if you divide a number by 0, it will be invalid, right? So that is why we have this except here, except 0 division error. So that's what this except is doing. Print, you cannot divide by 0. And also this except value error, please enter a valid number. So you get this value number when you input something else that is not a number, and you get this when you divide by 0. So if you run this, you get a prompt. So if I input a 0, to say you can't divide by 0. So instead of giving me error, you get a response. So those are ways you could undo errors. So there are also other scenarios where that can be done. but that is the example we would give for this class. Next, we'll be looking at classes. Now, classes is a very cool way of you organizing your codes. So we have this demo class created just for you to understand. So imagine you have like something you do on a regular basis and you do it repeatedly. What is the best approach to handle such scenarios? You create a class for it. So now look at this class. It is called AI model. We initialize it with this. This is a double underscore, then init, then self, and a name. So this is attribute of this class. So self.name is name, self.accuracy is initialized to 0, self is trained is initialized to false. So there are multiple functions under this class. Now we can define this function, or some call it method. It can be called a method. So define this to print training self.name. So this is picking this name, right? That is imputed here. So it's picking that name. So training this. So we created like a simulation for the results, just since this is a demo. So import random, self accuracy, that is this. So we are creating a random value. So from a uniform distribution between 0.7 and 0.95. So we are getting something random from there just to give us a random accuracy for this. So self is trained is true, that is this. So print training complete, accuracy is this random value that we got. Now define predict. So this is another method. We have self, we have data. So if not self is trained, so if not self is trained, that is if this is false, then you print trained model first and return nothing. Now we can also simulated prediction, but we did it using the random function. So we defined results as a random choice between 0 or 1. It will just randomly pick. Then print prediction and also the result, which is this, and return the result. So now use case of this class. Let me do this separately. So if you run this, your class is already created, right? So I'm giving you like a use case. Now we have model is equal to AI model, which is using the class, that is this class. And my first model is the name, right? So this self is itself, this model. So if you run this, it is saved. Now, if you run model.train, it has a method train here. So it runs through this and trains the method, but this is a random simulation. So this is just for this class, an example for this class. So the model.train would run this simulation, provide a random value, and print this. And the model.predict, we have data here that we're imputing here too, which would return our prediction, right? So if we run this, model.train already tells us that self is trained is true. So since it is not false, this will not be done. This would now be what is being done. And creating a random choice or selecting a random choice between 0 and 1 to just pick one of them and make the prediction. So now, if you need this particular process all over again, you don't need to write all of this since you already have the class already made. You just need to do this and you can call any of the methods. So it can act in a way like your packages, but this would be built by yourself. So that is a way to use classes. So that would be the end of this module. I have some practice ideas that I've added to the notebook, so you can try that out. Make sure you are using your GitHub Copilot as an assistant that can help you out in your codes. So see you in the next class.